Hi there and welcome back to the Rusty Lathe project. So in front of us then we've got two lead screws, and the lead screws are for the cross slide on the lathe. If I turn it over so we can see what's underneath, we can see the hole in it there where this piece goes into. Why have I got two of these? Because this one has issues. This bearing keeps seizing up, and also the display that would appear on there with regard to numbers, so that you know how far you've sent this across the lathe as you rotate this. These numbers have disintegrated in rust, no longer discernible, so that's no good really. So one of the kind viewers has very kindly sent me this, and it came extremely well packaged up, and the deal was that when I received this we would sort out how much I owed him for postage, because all he wanted was the postage costs. But the kind gentleman later said, no, I don't want any postage costs for it at all, you can simply have it. So that's absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much to that gentleman, and I'll put a £20 donation into the local cancer charity box. So that's great, thank you very much for that. So what's the difference between these two then? I can make this fit, but there are alterations needed to make it do that. We can probably make out on film that these thread pitches are different. What I could do, I could drill this out and rethread it perhaps to match this thread, because this one is a larger diameter than that one, in addition to being a different pitch. So I could drill this out and rethread it, but I don't know what this thread pitch is. I haven't got the facilities and dies to do that, so really I can't make that fit onto this. This is the one that comes with this, which is it's been together for many years, so this one does actually fit on this rod, so I've no problem with that. The only difference is that these two are slightly different. We can see that this one on my left here is slightly taller in the body, and that tallness in the body matters. So what I will have to do, I'll have to take off the bottom part of this to make it the same dimensions as the existing one, and maybe put these chamfers on it as well that we can see on the corner of here. There are two chamfers, so I'll put those chamfers on it as well, but I need to make them both the same. Another difference is that the one the gentleman sent me has got a saw cut through it and a screw in it there, such that this part, this half here, can be closed in against this larger part to put some tension and friction on this rod here. But it mustn't really matter, because the original one doesn't have that slot arrangement. It hasn't got the slot, so it mustn't really matter all that much. Another difference is that these two posts here, although they are the same diameter, because I've measured them with the vernier gauge, so they're the same diameter to fit into this hole over here, So that's not a problem, they fit in there nicely. The issue is that this one is ever so slightly longer than this one. If you put them together, you can probably see that there's a slight difference between the two, and that's caused predominantly by this ball at the end here. On the one the kind gentleman sent me, it's got the oiling ball in the top that you would press the oil can against and pump some oil in to lubricate this thread in the bottom. But on this one there is no ball. The ball for this lathe is in the top of the cross slide. So this one doesn't have a ball, it's just got a hollow tube down inside here to lubricate the thread, thereby lubricating the rod. So if I remove that ball and maybe make this a little bit shorter to get that ball out of there, so it's just got a hollow tube, and I saw some off the bottom there, that should be exactly the same. Why do I need to get this down at the bottom? The reason I need to take some off the bottom is that when these are located in there like that, well, I'll just show you, but the ball does make it stick up a little bit. I'm not sure that you can see that, but that gap in there is a sizable gap between the bottom of here and the bottom of this brass block or gunmetal block. That's quite a sizable gap. When I put the original one in, it's a nearer fit, a spot on fit now. So that's fitted straight into there and it's flush. Now obviously, taking into consideration this one makes it stand up a little bit. So when these blocks are mounted into here, the depth that's sticking up this way matters, because these run on another surface and these blocks effectively run in a bit of a hollow in that surface. But when they come to a shelf like this, it's too low. It catches on here. So what I need to do is machine some off here such that it's just sliding straight across the top rather than it catching and preventing this moving. Because as there are hollows here, there are hollows in the other side of the lathe, because don't forget that is upside down at the moment. It would. Now I've already trialled this, but this nut just unscrews and then this hand wheel literally knocks off. It just, you can knock it off with a hammer, a soft faced hammer, just like that. And once it's come off, you're left with this arrangement underneath. We can see this keyway, and this keyway fits in a keyway in this handle, such that when you turn the handle, the keyway allows this rod to turn. And when it's on, we just screw the nut, this nut here, we just screw it back onto there. And that's literally how it works. Now if ever you're taking one of these apart, the gentleman who gave me this did say that to be careful with the spring, and there is actually a spring inside this section here, so just be aware of that. Let's see if I can get it out. There's the spring. And it goes in there and just sits in there like that and tensions against this ring. So be aware that that spring might fall out, and what that spring does is just give that dial some tension. See, the rod isn't turning, it's just the dial that's turning. And if that spring wasn't there, this would just spin round and you would lose all sense of measurement about how far this ring should have rotated, giving you an indication how far this has actually travelled across the bed of the lathe. So that's what that spring is all about, just to give that some tension. The oiling hole and the grub screw hole that hold this in place are in identical places on these two fittings, so that's absolutely perfect. So all I need to do, undo the nut, knock the hand wheel off, knock the hand wheel back onto here, put the nut back onto here, pop this back into the lathe as it were with its modified nut on there, and we can reassemble the lathe.